Hello and welcome to the Pop Council podcast, the show where we cover everything in pop culture. Each week on this show, we discuss topics in the geek world, as well as various fandoms such as Disney, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, theme parks, and everything in between. I'm Jami, Philbrick, editor-in-chief of Movie Phone and board member of the Hollywood Critics Association. We have a great show for you today. We will be discussing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness spoilers, the Moon Knight finale, Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer, House of Dragon teaser trailer, Viola Davis returning as Amanda Waller for the Peacemaker spinoff series on HBO Max, and so much more. But it wouldn't be Pop Council if I wasn't joined by Wendy Lee. Hey, Wendy.
Hello and happy Monday.
Raising the roof on Monday. How was your weekend?
The weekend was good. It's the Doctor Strange opening weekend. So I was lucky enough to have been able to attend the premiere. And then I saw it again on Thursday, really late Thursday night, because that was the only tickets I was able to get with decent seating. So that was really cool seeing it twice, feeling the energy from the fans on opening night. It was a good time.
Awesome. I spent some time binging this weekend. I got to binge Bosch Legacy, which is the spinoff of the Bosch series from Amazon.
Yes.
It was a little difficult finding Freevee on my because it's on IMDb TV, which is now Freevee, which I think is a dumb name. Yeah, isn't IMDb TV better?
Yes.
I guess they want you to know that it's free streaming, but yeah, it's on Freevee now, and so they only had the first 4 episodes available, but I was able to binge those. So hopefully more will be dropped this week, and finished the Lakers series on HBO last night.
Oh, nice!
Which is overall like a guilty pleasure. It's a terrible series. Like it's just not. And if you know anything about like the NBA and NBA history and Lakers history, like most of it is BS. Like just so much in it is nonsense. Like didn't happen. But I will say the finale, the final episode was good. It was for sports fans, it was when Kareem got injured at the end of the 1980 finals and Magic played center. And it was a very seminal and historic game. And so it was fun to see the final episode, but it's like one of those shows that's so bad you still like it. It's like just total crap.
I have not seen it. I'm not the biggest like sports person.
Then I wouldn't really recommend it. If you love the Lakers and you love, you know what I mean, like you're interested in NBA and stuff like that, like I'd recommend it. But it's not. It's just like it's like the worst possible way of telling that story. It's like a soap opera way. You know what I mean?
But you finished it.
I finished it. So the sense of completion there. Yeah, accomplishment.
Achievement unlocked.
Exactly. Well, Wendy, as always, it would not be Pop Council if we weren't joined by another member of the Hollywood Critics Association. So to talk about our topics today with us, joining us is Derek Sante. Derek!
Hi, how's it going?
How are you, buddy? Good.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
How was your weekend, Derek?
Oh, it was good. Mother's Day weekend, of course, and then, of course, catching up with all the shows that are out there. So everything from Moon Knight catching up. I did watch a little bit of Winning Time, but I haven't got to the end yet. And then outside of that, it's just getting ready for future interviews. There's Downton Abbey and Jurassic Parks and different things coming up soon. So you're trying to get ready for everything that's coming down.
A lot of stuff coming up.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
And then your audio is coming in and out on us again. So we're gonna let you fix your audio there, Derek, and then we're gonna jump into the first topic, which of course is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Opened, previewed Thursday night and opened officially on Friday. $185 million opening weekend in the U.S. and I believe worldwide hit close to 4. I want to say 420, somewhere around there, worldwide. So not quite Spider-Man No Way Home, but pretty good. I would imagine that everyone at Disney and Marvel are very happy this weekend. So obviously want to go through your thoughts, Wendy and Derek, as well about the movie and and what you thought about Scarlet Witch, who I thought was great in this film, Elizabeth Olsen. But I also really want to open up the discussion to talking about the cameos in the film. And at this point, we're kind of used to having a few surprise appearances in our Marvel movies, especially after what we saw happen in Spider-Man No Way Home. We knew about the Illuminati appearing and that it looked like Patrick Stewart would reprise his role as some alternate universe version of Professor X. Well, the Illuminati did not disappoint. We got, in addition to Patrick Stewart as Professor X, we got Anson Mount shockingly returning as Black Bolt from the Inhuman TV series on ABC. Obviously, this is a different, more comic correct version of Black Bolt that we're seeing in this film, as well as you can see here, Captain Carter, right from the animation of What If, with Haley Atwell returning to play that role. And the one that really, I think, blew the minds of everyone this weekend seeing the film was, as long rumored, John Krasinski at playing Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. Time will only tell if this was just a nice nod to fan casting, and if John just sort of did this cameo to, just sort of to appease the fans as a nice little nod to them, because it is an alternate version, multiverse version. It does not necessarily mean that he will be playing Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four movie. Although, as we discussed last week, we do have a vacant director slot open for that film, and John is a accomplished director. So and there's more I want to talk about, other cameos, and of course we'll mention that Maria Rambeau is Photon, is sort of this version, this universe's Captain Marvel, as well as Mordo Chiwetel Ejiofor is this world's not Doctor Strange, but Sorcerer Supreme. So that's the Illuminati. But let me open this up to you, Wendy, about the Illuminati, your thoughts. And does this mean to you that John Krasinski is more likely or less likely to appear as Mr. Fantastic in the actual MCU Fantastic Four?
It's so funny because last week's episode, we had Mark Passis on, and we were talking about the John Watts news and, how it was kind of a bummer that he dropped out of Fantastic Four, though understandable because he's been working a whole lot. And then not from me, but from you and Mark, saying that you both had the theory that Krasinski potentially could fill the spot. And it was such a nice surprise to have that reveal in the film. Seeing him play Mr. Fantastic, I just didn't think it was going to happen. All the actors, we've seen it throughout the years of actors potentially being attached to a Marvel project, whether it's in television or in film. And a lot of the times, to keep things a secret for the fans, they will deny until the end. And out of all the actors that have denied it, I took Krasinski's words at face value, and I was like, yeah, I understand it. He's an accomplished director. He wants to work on, original content like Quiet Place 3 and whatever else he has down the pipe. And so I really fully believed it. And I'm so happy. You, Krasinski, you. I screamed so loud. I apologize to the people sitting in front of me and next to me during that scene because I lost it. So potentially, I feel like this could mean that we will see him in future MCU films, in Fantastic Four, hopefully, as Mr. Fantastic. I would love to see him directing it. However, Jami, you brought up a really good point. In the multiverse, we visited them where, this team of Illuminatis existed on 838. 838 is technically not found anywhere in the comic books. So technically, it could be a one-off as well. I don't want to hold out too much hope, but there's a small part of me that's like, yes, let the man direct it. Let the man play Mr. Fantastic. And please, maybe he can convince Emily Blunt to play Susan Storm. That would be the best news ever. So that's kind of what I got out of that reveal. And seeing Black Bolt from like the actor from Inhumans was a huge surprise to me, because I know a lot of people badmouth the show. I personally didn't really love it that much. It was canceled. But they brought him in for some pretty shocking moments in the film. So that was just nice to see all the various, superheroes and their variants, like Captain Carter, Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel, Patrick Stewart, Professor Egg. It was just such a good moment.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I like that, and we've seen this a little bit because obviously, Jamie Foxx wasn't a beloved, as Electro from the original Amazing Spider-Man 2. But they, brought him back in for Spider-Man No Way Home and sort of, upgraded him, made him a better character. There had been so much of sort of, Marvel's trying to shy away from having any involvement in the Inhuman series, that it's nice that they said, well, and I think it also doesn't hurt that Anson Mount, has Star Trek going now on Paramount, and that, has kind of made him a bigger actor in a way. So kind of bring him back. I mean, the whole, Vin Diesel, playing the variant of Black Bolt, I think could have been an option if they could have gotten him. Tom Cruise playing an Iron Man variant never was going to happen in my mind, no matter what. And so getting Krasinski, they had already, let the cat out of the bag with Patrick Stewart in the advertisement. So I think getting Krasinski was sort of the big casting for the scene, right? That was the big one, to have the reaction that it got out of you, Wendy, the reaction it got out of me in the theater. So I think that was great. Does it confirm that no, it doesn't confirm anything necessarily, but I do find it interesting that they announced the John Watts leaving just a week before the film was in theaters. I don't think that's a coincidence. So I hold hope that it is possible that we could see Krasinski in that costume again. Derek, let's see if we get a little bit of better audio from you now. And what were your thoughts?
I don't know if is my audio better, or is it still having?
Not really.
Still a little warbly.
Let's just roll with it.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the Illuminati and specifically?
If you guys can't hear me, I might have to check back in on my phone or something. Maybe I can do that instead.
We can hear you. You're just a little warbly.
Go for it, Derek.
I'm not happy about that. Okay, well, just to say,
neither are we, but go for
simply. No, I love Krasinski coming in. I love all the multiverse stuff too, and then of course Sam Raimi bringing his own flavor to it all too, making it darker and a little deeper as well. But for the sake of Fantastic Four, I don't know if they're actually going to enact that. I think maybe it's a test, maybe a toe in the water, but I don't necessarily think that they might want to do it unless it really hits or really resonates really well. I'd like to say it, but I also feel that Marvel sometimes just throws things in just to be like, here, this will make you happy. Here, we're not going to do it, but you can have this as well. Because I just, they've already planned out the Marvel universe so far ahead. I don't know how many things they can like shove into it on and off as well. So I just don't know. But I will say though, I did hear the words that the original Doctor Strange was closer to 3 hours in its entirety before COVID and all these things happened. So I know they had to cut and add things as dates moved and shows came on and the universe changed too. So I think maybe Marvel can be nimble if it needs to be as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because we know that also the release dates changed. Spider-Man, I think Doctor Strange at one point was going to be before Spider-Man and not after. And then we also had heard rumors after Loki that Loki would, am I remembering that incorrectly, Wendy? Didn't we hear that Loki would be appearing, that Tom Hiddleston was going to appear as Loki in Doctor Strange? I thought that was announced after the Loki series ended. I did not see Tom Hiddleston in this film.
I don't recall, and if he did come, show up on the set, his scenes were maybe chopped, but I don't recall that. I actually don't recall that. I can do a quick Google.
He and Sylvie were announced to be returning for Doctor Strange, but maybe I'm remembering that incorrectly. There was another big cameo in the film that we should talk about, and this is the end credit scene. So if you have not seen Doctor Strange yet, Turn the volume down for the next 3 minutes, and then turn it back up.
And
Wendy,
before we go, I'm just gonna let Derek do his thing, and then he will pop back in. So I'm gonna go ahead and
We'll see you
remove
in a
him
minute, Derek.
backstage, and then you and I can kind of go ham on that
Excellent.
post-credit scene.
Perfect. Thank you, Wendy. So we had a post-credit scene where we got the introduction of Clea. Clea is in the comics known also as Clea Strange. She is the niece of, I'm gonna not say his name right, but
Dormammu.
Yeah. She's the niece of him. She lives in that dark dimension, and in the comics, eventually becomes the wife of Doctor Strange. And so Charlize Theron appears in the end credit scene and just really comes out of a sort of a portal and says, "What you've done here has caused another incursion in the multiverse, and I need your help to fix it." And Doctor Strange says, "No problem, let's go." And his third eye pops up, and so we're off with Clea. Wendy, I mean, I love the idea of Charlize Theron being in the Marvel Universe. I don't know how I've lived this long without her being in the Marvel Universe. So I love it. I loved her in the costume and the whole thing. Not quite sure where this is going to go, if we have to wait for Doctor Strange 3, or if we'll see them sort of moving around in a Disney Plus series or some other film. But what are your thoughts on the end credit scene?
I mean, I feel like Marvel right now, Kevin Feige is just like collecting these badass actresses and putting them in MCU films. First Angelina, now we get Charlize. This was a really nice surprise. I don't remember hearing rumors about her being attached or involved in any sort of Marvel project in the past. So this, staying for that end credit scene, I was shocked. I hadn't even wrapped my head around the fact that she is Clea yet. I just stared at the screen watching her do her scene, and I'm like, Charlize. So this is for me really, really unexpected. I didn't think that we were going to see Clea. At this point, I went home and I was like, let me just do some research on Clea. And I am very excited for the possibility of whether it's the next Doctor Strange film, Doctor Strange 3, or the next MCU kind of ensemble film, because, we've opened the multiverse. So the possibility is kind of endless. The fact that we are going to, revisit the whole Dormammu thing again, I think this leads me to believe that perhaps we'll actually get to see more of Mordo, like 616's Mordo, a little bit more, because he was basically non-existent in this film. I thought we'd see a little bit more of him, but we really just got the 838 Mordo, which was just as well, because I enjoyed Chiwetel Ejiofor. I just thought we were going to get a little bit more, but the film, had a lot going on. So I am welcoming Charlize as Clea with open arms.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I also would have loved to have known like what's going on with the 616 Mordo. But there was only so much real estate in this film, and a lot of, as I think fans probably who have seen it figured out, I mean, it is the conclusion of WandaVision in a lot of ways. My understanding is that because of the pandemic, they weren't able to shoot it, but that scene in Doctor Strange where Doctor Strange goes to her village, the cabin, to see that was actually supposed to be the end of the WandaVision series. And that they would have filmed that scene, and then, we would have been a little bit more off and running as soon as this movie starts with Scarlet Witch being the villain, which I think that it works fine the way they did it. You know what I mean? Like, it totally works fine. And it's interesting. Yeah, I was really shocked by the Charlize Theron of it all. It's interesting to see where they're going to go with that. I mean, Sam Raimi has said that this is going to change the status quo of Doctor Strange. I think he means the eye, and that type of thing. And so it really seems like they're headed towards Secret Wars as the overall. Now I know we have Secret Invasion coming, and that was a major crossover event in Marvel, but I feel like they're going to handle that as more of like a side crossover event. It's a big, maybe Disney Plus crossover event, but the next sort of Infinity War thing that we're playing towards is a Secret Wars where you would have different versions of these characters, in a battle world kind of thing. So overall, what did you think of the movie, Wendy?
I mean, it's a Sam Raimi film. His fingerprints, his style is all over it. I did think that it's a pretty fast-paced movie. And I feel like, especially I really noticed it upon the second watch in the third act, that I felt things got rushed a little bit. I would have liked a little bit more breathing room. It's 2 hours and 6 minutes. It's not even the longest, Marvel film by far. And I think we could have gotten another 10 minutes. Would have been really, really great. But that's could just be me selfishly wanting more so because, and I understand this is first and foremost a Doctor Strange sequel. And also, like you said, it's a bit of, follow-up / conclusion to where Wanda is at the end of WandaVision. But we got introduced to America Chavez in this movie, and they aged her down to be quite younger than her comic book origin. And I think the purpose of them doing that is so that Xochitl Gomez can kind of grow with the series, because she is so young, she's so talented, and I really love that she is America Chavez. But I was just hoping to get just a little bit more from her character, not her performance. Her performance is great.
Right.
By the third act, I felt like I was like, okay, she's a bit of a plot device.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping, and again, I understand that this is a Doctor Strange sequel, so I'm hoping that the purpose of them aging her down is so that she can grow with the franchise, that we will get to see more of her, whether in a standalone film or a Disney Plus series, so you can better flesh out the character. And I just want to see more of her. Like, I'm very excited that she's here. So would like for her to be more than just a plot device to a movie. I'm gonna go ahead if Derek is okay for me to pop him back in.
See what happens.
Okay.
Let's roll the dice.
Hi.
Am I okay? Am I back?
You are.
Yay!
You know all that fancy stuff of yours.
Yeah, I had to just jump out. It's all right. I mean, I had some little fun Doctor Strange slingy stuff going on. I was gonna make all this stuff happen, but unfortunately, the PC updated itself without my know-how, and that's the world. But let's jump back into it. I'm all about it. Where are we now?
We want to hear your thoughts. Yeah.
On Doctor Strange as a whole?
On Clea, and overall thoughts
Illuminati, Clea, Doctor Strange the movie.
So yeah, I mean, like I said before, I love everything Sam Raimi did. I love the opportunity of opening up to more multiverse stuff as well. Having our villain be someone that a lot of people didn't really know was coming, although a lot of people did too. So it's kind of interesting to see how we kind of came into her. And then of course the questions are, the next step is, are we losing a Wanda? Are we losing a Scarlet Witch, or are we gaining a new resurgence or rising of a different Phoenix again later on? So I was very excited to kind of see all that going in. And then more importantly, I was just really happy to see all the effects, the Sam Raimi-esque, dead man effects, and the seeing Bruce Campbell in there stuff too. After a while, you kind of miss certain things about certain directors, and that was definitely one of them. Seeing the Doctor Strange dead man coming in and seeing that face and everything too, you're like, I was 100% back in Army of Dead, which is down my list of things to rewatch. But overall, I was very excited to see this movie. And the real question that came to me for a couple different people is, like, will my kid like this? And that's something I kind of want to ask you guys too. Like, will my kid like this? Because it is darker, and there is a lot of Marvel homework to make sure you have on point to catch up with this. So whether it is having to watch WandaVision, having to watch Spider-Man, having to watch a lot of other movies beforehand just to catch up with this, but also being a little bit of a darker movie and some really high intelligence kind of thoughts in multiverse, like, will kids like this?
That's a good point there.
I think it depends on the age. I think the comic book stuff, kids will figure that all out. You know what I mean? Like the comic book stuff, that's not a worry. The horror aspect, yeah, I think that depends as a parent on the age of your child and, what you want them to see. I mean, I loved the Sam Raimi aspect of the movie. I mean, that's what really made it for me. I think really made it fun and interesting. I agree with you, Wendy. It's a really simple story. I mean, it's basically Scarlet Witch goes bad. Doctor Strange has to chase her across the multiverse to stop her. I mean, it's a simple story. And so, and I agree that America Chavez is sort of the plot device in that, but I liked what they did with it. I liked the Illuminati. I liked all the sort of surprises and stuff. I actually don't think you need to see Spider-Man No Way Home in order to see this. You need to see WandaVision in order to understand what anything Scarlet Witch is doing in this film. So that I think is absolutely, but I was a little surprised how little it is connected to Spider-Man No Way Home. I think there was like a brief reference and that was it.
Well, I think it wasn't that because of the fact that Doctor Strange was supposed to release before Spider-Man, and so that's where the reshoots were to kind of connect the dots too. The only reason I say Spider-Man is because of the fact that it kind of introduces us to multiverses a little bit more ahead of time, and so especially for kids, I think that seeing all the different villains come from all these different multiverses, as well as like the Spider-Verse too, are both kind of movies that kind of help teach them a little bit about what multiverses really are.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Well, it will be interesting to see when we see Doctor Strange again, when we see Charlize Theron again, or if and when we'll see John Krasinski as Reed Richards again. We will just have to
manifest it, guys. Manifest it.
I'm sure.
More importantly, though,
happening in Burbank.
More importantly, though, we all know for a fact we're not going to see Eternals 2, right? That's the thing we can all agree on, right?
No.
I'm kidding.
No.
Come on. I mean, we're not going to see Eternals 2.
I'm not dying for it. I don't need it.
There's just some of the characters that I really did like a lot in that film.
Right. Well, luckily,
I would like to see where it goes, like where that end credit scene goes. But I don't think there's a huge audience dying for Eternals 2.
But
that's
not my favorite
subject for another time.
Yes, I just want to throw that in there because it's one of those movies that kind of made me sad. Like I wanted so much more out of it, so I have to jab it ever so often just to feel like I'm like, you dead yet? Are you dead yet?
They're not all home runs, but at least most of them are at least singles, which is better than some other studios can say with their shared universe of comic book films. But moving on, we did get this finale of Moon Knight this week, and we won't go too much into it. Obviously, of course, Moon Knight, Mark Spector and Stephen Grant came back from the afterlife. They formed with Khonshu again to create Moon Knight and defeated Arthur Harrow, who was at that point the avatar for Amit. So Amit was defeated and all is good. But then we got a couple of really interesting tidbits in this episode. That was the wrong photo. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Layla becomes the avatar to the hippo lady. I can never say
Taweret.
And sort of unofficially becomes the sacred scarab. Scarlet Scarab character from Marvel Comics. As well as we got our look in the end credit scene at Jake Lockley. So this is another alter of Mark and Stevens. We had hints about him throughout the series, and certainly I believe that was the voice that was in the tomb in the afterlife that was speaking to Stephen and Mark. But we got to see him for the first time, and he is still the avatar for Khonshu, even if Stephen and Mark think that they are free from Khonshu's grasp. So it was an interesting way. Really, I mean, I love the series. There's a little bit of a filler episode, I think, in 3 or 4, but besides that, for the most part, it's a pretty tight 6 episodes, in my opinion, and a great origin for Moon Knight. Really explains all the alter characters, so that when we do see him again, either in a movie or another Disney Plus series, we'll know exactly what's going on with this character and can kind of just jump in and get moving with them. So, Wendy, what were your thoughts on the finale, the overall series, and the Scarlet Scarab and Jake Lockley appearing?
We've been waiting the entire season to see if we were going to get a little peek at Jake Lockley. And by episode 5, I was thinking, okay, I gotta like not do the Mephisto thing with this. Maybe they're going to save Jake for Midnight Suns. Maybe they'll save him for Werewolf by Night. So I kind of gave that up. So it was really, really nice and very rewarding to see Jake completely revealed in the best way possible in the post-credit scene. Do I wish it was like more in the episode? Sure, but I got what I got and I'm happy with it. To talk about Layla and the Scarlet Scarab, I was not expecting it at all because she was so hesitant about becoming an avatar for any of the gods because she's witnessed what it's done for Mark and for Steven and how much it broke the two of them. And she was like, absolutely not, Khonshu. I don't think so. But things got a little messy, and she's like, I gotta do it. I gotta save people. And I read an article, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name of the article, but I did retweet it, and the costume designer from the show actually was hinting at her being the Scarlet Scarab, even as far as like episode 2, episode 3. I think it was actually episode 4 when they were all inside the like asylum part of it. So that Layla comes up to, I believe it was Mark, and she had a little band-aid on her hand, and there was a tiny red Scarlet Scarab on the band-aid. So the hints and the Easter eggs had been there, but her costume reveal was so cool. Watching her and Moon Knight and Mr. Knight take turns teaming up and fighting Harrow was so satisfying to see because, you know, we finally have the two, we have Mark and Steven finally acknowledging each other and sort of embracing each other. I really enjoyed the series. Did the finale make my brain hurt a little bit? Yes, because there was a lot of like, is this real? Is this not real? Are we gonna end up back in the psych ward? So we're gonna do the tropey thing of like, this is not real. It's all happening. And I'm happy that it wasn't really exactly that way. The reveal of Jake was so juicy. I loved it. I don't know how Oscar Isaac does it. Literally, any of the altars that he took on, I feel like his face literally transformed in front of me. So it's been incredible to watch.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it was a little like, wait, what's happening with the hospital? Where are we? What are we? But I thought like, as a whole, once you look at it again, it all makes sense. You know, in the moment, just like the characters, we don't know what's going on, but I think as a whole, it really did work. So I like that a lot. Derek, what were your thoughts on the finale and the overall series?
Well, I mean, the overall series itself, I mean, you have to just give it up to Oscar Isaac. He's the one who delivered on this show. I mean, having the multiple personalities and then having the ability to be, you know, sorrowful or sad or scared, and you know, really helped kind of create those separate moments. Because, you know, we've all seen the, you know, separate character walk behind and do the connections. I almost want to see the back end of like who was working across from him during these moments too, because he really did deliver, in my opinion, when it came to, you know, the multiple personalities and talking to himself too. And so that was really cool for me. And then having Jake come out too, was a cool opportunity, and then throwing in some Spanish, a little bit of Oscar Isaac's Guatemalan background as well, kind of threw that in. So I was kind of happy to see that. You know, being a Latin guy, I'm still very much looking for our very first, you know, big Latin superhero somewhere out there. I know Bad Bunny's going to be El Muerte, but I don't know if that's going to be the thing. So I'm not really going to put like a lot of pesos towards that, let's just say. On the other side, though, I will say it was cool to see Scarlet Scarab, and then her being asked by the kid, are you an Egyptian superhero? So that was cool to kind of give love to Egyptian people and that area as well. So I really did enjoy that when the little girl had that, and she took pride in being that too. So I was very cool to kind of see those things. As for everything else, I mean, the Khonshu stuff, like you got to leave the door open for a couple different things out there. You know, I am someone who has been 100% behind the idea of Midnight Suns. I mean, I was at an award show recently. I said Jared Leto's table. And I'm like, what's the chance of Midnight Suns? He's like, I don't know, man. I'm just playing Morbius. We'll see what like happens. And after seeing Morbius, I can understand why he was kind of like, oh, we'll just see what happens, Maybe you'll get some for Christmas, maybe you won't. You don't know, like a kind of thing.
And they can bring Anson Mount back. They can bring Jared Leto back. Trust me.
But do they want to? Should they? Is the question now. That's the problem. After watching these things, after watching the Inhumans, and you're like, yeah, let's bring him. We could bring Anson Mount back. That's great for his character. He was great, but we didn't bring back the girl with I can't remember her name with the hair going crazy either. Medusa, yeah. But Morbius. Do we want Morbius back, or are we just gonna be like, you know what? We're good. We got a lot of people. We'll just throw a couple people in there. Maybe we'll throw a Blade in there and some other stuff too. We'll be fine. But as for the show as a whole, I really am excited for where they go from this. It did have a very kind of like it just dropped off. We get a little bit of Jake, we get a bit of that, but there's no other like connection as to Mark's world or what's happening or anything else there. It's just like, what's next? Like that was it. There wasn't like a closure of anything so much as just like a you just woke up, let's see. And that's kind of where it came from too.
No, the series overall I thought was interesting because it doesn't really have any MCU tie-ins the way every other series does. I mean, obviously it takes place in the MCU, but there are no other cameos. There are no other like little, we don't see Stark Industries as a label in the background. There was nothing, which I think was done on purpose, and I liked that. But it will be interesting to see how they integrate the character moving forward.
I would have loved to seen Doctor Strange like walking down the street, all of a sudden seeing the stars go around in circles because he's changing time and stuff.
Then that hinges. Like, then it depends. Then you have to have those audiences that also saw Moon Knight and also saw. I think Marvel is aware that not everyone is watching everything.
It happened when he was in the multiverse.
Right, but that's
right. That's very good, Wendy. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say that Doctor Strange did delve into a bunch of Disney Plus stuff, What If, as well as WandaVision, and some other stuff as well. Too.
Huge!
So.
I mean, I would say it was the continuation. I mean, it was basically WandaVision episode 10 for sure.
Yeah.
In that sense, but as far as the Jake Lockley, I mean, Wendy, we knew that was they couldn't finish the series and not hint at him or introduce him at some point. And I really like the way they made Steven and Mark the leads, and then introduce Jake as sort of this thing at the end, and also with Layla, her being an original character that obviously gravitated towards certain characters from the comics. I thought that added to that suspense, so that we didn't really know if or when she would become anything. So I think that helped. I
want to see the third suit. That's what I want to see.
What do you guys think it looks like? Because when we saw Jake wheeling Arthur out of the psych ward or the hospital, which I think at the end is set St. Cabbage for the hospital, and I thought that was a cool like nod. But Jake was dressed in all dark, so I was like, is it resembling maybe the Shadow Knight costume? I don't know. We've never seen it, so I'm very curious about that.
We will have to wait and see. We don't know when we'll see Moon Knight again, but hopefully it won't be too long, either on the big screen or the small. So we've got a couple of trailers to talk about before we run out of time. We got our second, presumably, I would say maybe the last, since it's opening, premiering at the end of the month, trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi series. You can see Ewan right there. We also got to see Joel Egerton returning as Owen Lars, having a heated moment with Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan suggests possibly beginning to train young Luke at some point. I believe this is Moses Ingram as the whatever
Inquisitor.
character. Yeah, the Inquisitor character. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Wendy. Yep, and we see her with the red lightsaber. And then, of course, in the final moments, cue the heavy breathing, and we got to see presumably what is Hayden Christensen in part of the Doctor Vader, Darth Vader costume.
Dr. Vader?
Dr. Vader. Paging Dr. Vader.
Dr. Vader.
Costume. I'm super excited for the series. I'm glad that the trailer gave us a little bit more of kind of the idea of what's going to go on in the series. We are
Did I see Kumail Nanjiani in there too for a
Uh-huh.
second?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, he's in the second trailer. We got to see a shot of him as well, and so I'm excited for sort of the plot got explained a little bit more, which is that we are, Darth Vader wants to wipe out the rest of the Jedi, any Jedi that escaped during Order 66. Is that right?
Yeah.
Order 66. So I think it's a great sort of launching off point for presumably for the series and what it's going to be. Wendy, what are your thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I could not be more excited to have Ewan McGregor reprise the role of Obi-Wan. We've been waiting for it. So when he in person confirmed it at D23, I was like, or maybe it was Comic-Con. I can't remember. One of the cons. Very, very excited. This trailer, I mean, I don't want to see too much more, to be honest with you guys. I want to experience the rest of it in the series. So I am happy with what I got. I think that burn from Uncle Owen there was a lot behind that. Just like, just how you trained his father. I think that got the most reaction out of me than anything else in that specific trailer. It's interesting to see Kumail in the trailer because he kind of looked like in the quick clip that we saw of him, another Jedi in hiding. And we know that after Order 66, a lot of them didn't make it, but the few that did are trying to hide, which kind of, Obi-Wan's in a lie. He's trying to hide. He is trying to keep an eye on Luke. And, maybe potentially face to face again with Vader. We'll see how it plays out in the series. Certainly is making it feel like that. What I really liked is that they didn't in the trailer show us him igniting his lightsaber, which if you're a Jedi in hiding, I probably wouldn't be using that because that's like a tall tale sign of like, hi, I'm a Jedi over here. And I escaped Order 66. So I am all about it. I feel like a lot of us have been wanting to see what Obi-Wan was up to during this period. So I can't wait. And I have a feeling kind of like what I did after seeing Rogue One, I feel like I'm going to watch the Obi-Wan series. And then as soon as we get to the finale, I'm going to pop in A New Hope. It's just what I do.
Yeah, no, I mean, that would be a great afternoon of watching Star Wars. Yeah, getting to see all that. You made me think of something, Wendy, before we throw to you, Derek. Wendy, let me get your thoughts on this. You mentioned Kumail could be playing a Jedi in hiding, much like Obi-Wan, another Jedi trying to stay away from the Empire. Do you think we'll find out what happened to Mace Windu?
Oh.
In the comics, if I'm correct, and I don't know if these comics are canon at this point or not, but he does survive the fall in the comic books.
That could be a great post-credit scene.
I'm sure Samuel L. Jackson would love to return as Mace Windu. I can say that almost with no hesitation. I think he would love to return as Mace Windu. I don't know if that's a story thread that, I would imagine there's a lot of things that this series is going to try to accomplish. And so whether, finding Mace Windu alive or offspring of Mace Windu is something that they would include or not, but it would be in this time period, and I would love to know at some point, did he survive? Did he not? Could Samuel L. Jackson return as the character? Derek, what are your thoughts on this presumably final trailer?
Well, I mean, we're all going to know. As soon as we see a purple lightsaber, we're going to know right then and there. I mean, until that point, that's when we're going to be bated breath. I will say that I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I actually talked to Ewan McGregor before this was even an inkling because I read the book Kenobi, which was fantastic. And I think a lot of it's based on that book, hopefully, because essentially it is the idea that Obi-Wan Kenobi, tried to hide himself and get away and become, hidden so he could help the next generation of Jedi too. And Tatooine was where he went, of course. But of course, he is Kenobi and things and dangers seem to follow him. And of course, he's not just going to chill learning about water evaporators. So he's going to be doing some stuff along the way. So I was really excited to kind of see where this book and where this storyline kind of meet all together too. And then as for Vader and how all that works out, I'm very excited to see, because they are ingraining a lot of the books and a lot of the story and trying to expand the universe and the galaxy without going too far off the mark too. Because I mean, I've interviewed everyone from Timothy Zahn to Kevin Hearn, different people who have written these books, and even asked them about where they think things are going to go. And it's very interesting to see how they say, well, my character might be canon, this character might not be. Thrawn, of course, we saw is going to be someone who's going to become in the future. So having to see how all that kind of connects into it, and knowing how deep all of the stories and everything that comes to Star Wars can be or is already, is going to really kind of throw us for a loop one way or the other. The one thing that I did notice automatically when I saw the name was a limited series. So I'm guessing we're not going to get season 2, which kind of bummed me out a little bit just by seeing that. I'm hoping maybe I don't understand what a limited series means. Maybe a limited series for this year. Maybe they're going to redefine it depending on how well it does. But I think the thing's going to show us is definitely how much time passes, how fast is Luke growing in Kenobi, what age is he at, because they're going to have to fit these things in different times or different frames as well, which is always fixable, but something definitely in my mind as well. But I am very excited for it. I think Ewan McGregor is amazing. I think he's everything we want, and then we'll have to see if they decide to give us a couple things that we might want. Like, are we going to see any Qui-Gon throwbacks by chance? Are we going to have a who has the high ground now kind of little thing going in there? There's going to be a couple nerd things I think there'll be a lot of nerd things they're going to throw at us. So we'll have to see how they connect, and then seeing how Mandalorian and Boba Fett connected and how they kind of lend a lot of stuff over back and forth too. It'd be interesting to see if Boba Fett gets put on the case for Kenobi somewhere along the way too, or different things, in the past. So there is different times and stuff as well. So actually, he's in the Sarlacc pit, I guess, right? So
he will be in the Sarlacc pit.
So he can't be, but there might be some other stuff as well that we'll see what happens.
Maybe, possibly.
Well, yeah. And then I'm wondering, can anything, I don't know if they want to do this, but tie into the Solo movie? We know that there were plans with the Solo movie for more Darth Maul. Emilia Clarke's character was supposed to have a larger role in the underground moving forward. So I wonder if some of those loose threads, because we know we're not ever getting a Solo 2, if some of those loose threads might tie into the series as well. So I'm excited for it too. I think it's great. I mean, Ewan McGregor, was obviously a great casting for young Obi-Wan, and now that as he gets older, starts to look more and more like Alec Guinness, that I just think like using, you got to utilize the actor now, because there's all sorts of fun stuff that you can kind of do in the Star Wars timeline. So I think that would be great. Real quick, we want to talk about another trailer that hit this week. It was just a teaser, not a lot to talk about, but for House of Dragon, which is going to be the prequel to Game of Thrones. We see Olivia Cook here with Rhys Ifans, and I'll give you a quick shot of our man Matt Smith looking very, very sinister here in this photo. So not a lot to talk about from the teaser, but just interested. Derek, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts? Does the teaser get you excited for a House of Dragon, for a Game of Thrones prequel?
Well, first and foremost, we saw dragons already, so there's that, right? We don't have to wait for let's wait 3 or 4 seasons. The dragons are coming. Winter's coming too. So what's going to be coming this season? That's my question. What's coming this season? Dragons are coming. The winter's coming. What's the next thing right now? So I guess we'll have to see what's going to be coming in House of Dragons. Matt Smith, of course, I love him. Everything about him. We've seen him be dark, of course. Recently, a lot of great roles. The eyebrows are still throwing me off. Whenever eyebrows match hair color directly, and it kind of has that light tone. You always look a little bit evil. I'm sorry for people who have that automatically. So that light hair, that white, it just kind of makes it kind of an evil kind of feel to it. But as for it's going to definitely bring us back into the beginning of how it all started when it came to Game of Thrones, which was more about the intrigue about all the different infighting and people working behind the scenes. And of course, we get a lot of names thrown at us. Of course, we have Targaryen, we have Baratheon or something like that, and Baratheon, and we have a lot of different names being thrown out there. So we're going to see a lot of those. What's going to happen and how we're going to connect as well. And then it's the fall of this. I mean, it has to be. It's the fall of the house for it to go away and be kind of the unspoken house. So that's the line we're going through too. So I don't necessarily know if it's going to be something that's going to connect to us in a way that's more like Fear of the Walking Dead, where it's just so far ahead, and we'll have to see how things connect, and we'll see some people coming in, or if it's just going to be something that they're going to connect automatically and say, okay, well, there's more magic in the world, there's more this, and there's more dragons, and we're going to just start from that point automatically too. So that's kind of my biggest question is, are we going to have more magic in the world? Are there going to be more witches in the world? There's more dragons, of course, already too. So what is the differences in this reality of world versus the future? What have we lost, and what do we still have?
Yeah, absolutely. Wendy, are you excited about this prequel? Has it made you forget the finale of Game of Thrones? Your excitement for this teaser for a new series?
Never. The finale let me down. No. I loved Game of Thrones so much, and I think a part of the intrigue, of course, dragons, but also, Derek kind of pointed out the politics, the infight between these houses, and how powerful this one house is at that time. And I think what's going to set this series a little bit different than what we got, in the final season of Game of Thrones, which, by the way, if you enjoyed the final season, more power to you, and I love that for you. I wish I was able to enjoy it as much as you did. But the book is finished with this one. I think that was maybe a part of the issue with the GOT finale, or the couple last seasons, is that the book, the source material wasn't done. So it's like even though they did work with George R.R. Martin on it, they still didn't have the exact finished product to pull from. But this book, from what I understand, is done. So I am cautiously optimistic about it. I want to like it. I like the cast a lot. I think Matt Smith looks fantastic in his blonde hair. So he almost looks like an elf to me, just at the point.
Oh, yeah.
Almost. Yeah. So cautiously optimistic about the show. Definitely will be watching it when it releases.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're all going to check it out and see if it works for us, and if we can kind of get into these new characters and what's going on. One last bit of TV news before we move on, actually also HBO Max TV news, is that it was announced last week that Viola Davis, Academy Award winner, will be reprising her role from the DC films and Peacemaker series, as well as Amanda Waller in a Peacemaker spinoff. It's not quite clear yet if what type of series this will be, if she will in fact be the lead of the series, if it's an Amanda Waller series. But the news reports do sort of lead you to believe that is what we're looking at. It did list her as starring as Amanda Waller in the Peacemaker spinoff. So having watched Peacemaker, you kind of have an idea of where, if it is maybe a true Peacemaker spinoff or more of a Suicide Squad spinoff. I guess, Derek, let me start with you. What are your thoughts about this? Are you excited about this series? And what do you think it will be? Do you think it will be her with a new Suicide Squad, her running Argus, Checkmate? What do you think it could be there?
It's going to have to be some kind of Suicide Squad. I mean, the fact is, we go to Amanda Waller, and she is always, she's the stick. You have the carrot over here. She's the stick every time. So it doesn't matter what you're watching, whether it's the comics, whether it's, Batman, you go to animated stuff, you go to, she's always the hard place in the rock that smashes you at the very end if you mess up or you get in her purview one way or the other. I think this show is going to depend 100% on the writing and where this story is going to go, because Amanda Waller is interesting, but she's also a very hated character constantly. You always don't like her. Like that's the point of her character. You don't like her because she's the evil that needs to happen for America to wave its flag and move forward, or for humans to feel like they're safe in some way or another when the supers are all out there too. So that's kind of who she is. Even when you go into the animated stuff, Batman, you know, she'll steal people from Arkham, and then Batman has to kind of deal with her at the same time. And then you get, you know, all those different characters she kind of brings in and kind of spotlights just by her bringing them into the Suicide Squad as well. So I think that's going to be where it's going to go. The one thing about Peacemaker was just funny, and that was great about it. Even in Suicide Squad, the movie, you know, her getting, you know, knocked out, her, all the characters around her having the humor to kind of offset her is really where her power comes into play too. Her being just the baddie who has her finger on the button to blow their heads off, it's cool, but it's only one dimensional. Like, you need more for her to play off of or her to deal with, because her, at the same time as she's the evil, she has to deal with stupidity to make some things happen. And that's a lot of what happens too. And so that's kind of where we're going to go with this. And I would love to see her deal more with that kind of humor and stupidity like we got in the Peacemaker to kind of offset those things. But really, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see how it's written and where the story goes. But it's definitely going to have a lot more other characters involved, and it has to. There's no other way around. Like I said, without them, she's kind of one-dimensional.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Peacemaker series actually gave us a little bit of a behind the scenes at her home life and family life. We were introduced to her daughter and found out that she had one. So I think there is something interesting to be done with her as a lead character of her own series. It would be interesting to kind of find out a little bit more about who she is, what she stands for, the behind the scenes of her running, you know, maybe another Task Force X, or dealing with politics within Checkmate. And, you know, maybe she discovers that someone she's working with is really the villain and working against them. I think there's some interesting, and obviously Viola Davis is an amazing actress. And so, and it's a great character. So I think there's some fun stuff to be had. Wendy, what do you think this series might be? And are you looking forward to it?
I would absolutely always welcome Viola Davis back as Amanda Waller, because like the both of you said, she is a tremendous actress. I really enjoy her performances throughout her career. I just don't know if the spinoff was going to be an Amanda Waller show. I don't think, as much as I enjoy the character within the story, I don't know if I would be intrigued enough to watch if that was the show. But if she was a part of a show that's like, you know, focusing on other characters that we've met from Peacemaker or Suicide Squad, if she was a part of it, yes, absolutely, that totally makes sense for her to be a part of the formula. But if it's a Amanda Waller show, I just don't know if I'd be interested in that.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously there's, you know, a lot of different characters to pick from, both from the Suicide Squad films, Peacemaker, and just, you know, years and years of comic books that were never utilized, you know, characters that were never utilized. So it will be interesting to see what ends up happening with that, and we'll keep an eye on it and let you know as we hear more. But that is all our time for this week. I want to thank our audience for tuning in and remind you that we're just one of the shows on the Hollywood Critics Association's YouTube channel, so make sure you hit the subscribe button, like this video, and tune in to Pop Council every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. We want to thank our guest, as always, Derek Sante. Derek, let everyone know where they can check you out.
You can find me at Derek Sante or at Review Nation. Those are my two. I'm on a couple different TV stations as well as some networks. And usually I do a bunch of nerdy stuff. My big thing right now is my my YouTube channel. I'm just releasing my second season of Coloring with the Cast, where I have different TV shows and movie casts come with me, and we color different pictures from their TV shows and stuff too. So coming up next, we have Woke, we have Bob's Burgers, the movie, and a bunch of other fun stuff too. So, and I have, of course, last season we had Cobra Kai, The Boys, and a couple other stuff too. So if you want to see all your favorite cast members coloring,
definitely check out at Derek Sante or at Review Nation at on YouTube, and you get a chance to see them. And they are all coloring relaxes people, and you get to see them relax in a different way for sure. So
awesome, Derek. And Wendy, where can everyone check you out?
You can find me across all social media at just my name, at Wendy Lee Zaney. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok is just Wendy Zaney, not Wendy Lee Zaney. And on YouTube, the Movie Couple channel, where we do a lot of trailer reactions and reviews and vlogs. And of course, every Monday right here on HCA's Pop Council.
Yay! And I'm Jami Philbrick. You can check me out Twitter, Instagram at Philbrick. YouTube, Facebook, my name, and please check out Movie Phone for your show times, movie news, reviews, interviews, and all that good stuff. We will see you next week back here on the Pop Council. Till then, thanks for watching.
bye.